Hello and welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show, and it's Veterans Day. And I want to just say Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there, whether you are a veteran or not. I know this brings up a lot of stuff for a lot of people, and it's a very important day to pay tribute to all the men and women that have stood for each and every one of us all over the world forever and a day. I mean, I think about my daddy in a day like this, too, and I just want to say, let's think about each other. This is the kind of day to do it. And last week we had a great show on, so go back and take a look. It was heartwarming, as our shows always are, and it was people talking about people, and it was just terrific, and it was about Veterans Day, so take a look. Anyway, I want to say hello to Amnon.
Hello, Marilyn.
Hello, Amnon. How are you doing?
I'm just fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Amnon is our producer and everything else, and I was just telling our guests, and he's always watched my back, which is a good thing for years.
Did the color from your hair fall down and shirt?
No. No. I've had my hair done, and I have a little purpley red thing going on, and
it's cute.
No, and I'm wearing purple today. I usually wear a lot of black if you listen and watch, but no, no, it didn't. But I really like it, and it's fun coloring your hair. It's like a whole new thing.
It's like a whole new you.
It's like, yeah, that's part of it. It's exciting, and then everything changes. Lipstick changes, eyeglasses look good, or you want to change them too. Necklaces. I mean, it's just a fun thing. It's a, you know what? It's almost very fitting for what we're talking about on our show today, because we all need, from time to time, or maybe we don't even know we need it, but we want it, or maybe we're not even acknowledging it, but we want a shot in the arm, a change of pace, something to make a difference in our life. Mm-hmm. And today's show is going to be just about that. So I'm going to introduce my guest in just a minute. But I do also want to thank all of you for being here with us today. I know that everybody has other things to do in their day. And for you to spend an hour with us is really an honor. And I appreciate it very, very much. And I want to suggest that if you're listening, that you are more than welcome to go to the little line under the box where it says your name, nickname, and put your name in there and take part in our chat if you'd like to. It's a place where people engage with each other. They ask questions, they comment, they chit-chat. It's a community, and we'd love to have you there. And all through the show, we invite you to call in anytime you like. You can call in at 919-518-9773 if you have a comment, a question for our guest, for me. And you're also invited to come in through Skype. Skype computers, that's plural, and S2K voice. So you have no excuse that if you can be anywhere in the world, and if you want to talk to us, we're here to talk to you. So this is a show about people, talking to people about people things. And today, I want to introduce my guest, Louis Vitello, Jr., who is a sweet man with a really great story. So let me welcome Louis. Louis, hi.
Hi, how are you, Marilyn?
I'm great, and you?
I'm doing great. You look fabulous.
You like my color hair and my shirt?
I do.
Thank you.
I love it. Y'all color coordinated today. I love it.
Thank you, and you look fabulous too.
Thank you.
So, Louis, tell everybody your story.
Wow. Well,
and from the beginning.
Sure. I grew up, as always, being the short, fat kid, wore glasses, had a speech impediment. I mean, if a kid in school needed somebody to pick on or be a bully, that was me. I was always the target. And through growing up, you make changes. You're mentioned about making changes, but you do. You change things. And certain things I was able to change. LASIK eye surgery, didn't need glasses anymore, worked on my speech, pretty much got rid of most of my impediment. But the one thing I always struggled with was my weight. And I tried every diet under the sun. I joke around and I say, I called Jenny, she hung up, and I did the weight watching, and all I did was watch the weight around me. I tried everything, and I just kind of gave up. I figured the world needs fat people, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of how I felt about it. Decided that it really didn't matter anymore. And my life changed drastically in the course of 1 week. A routine doctor's visit gave me less than 10 years to live.
How old were you then?
I was 25.
Okay.
Gave me less than 10 years to live and basically wanted me to go for gastric bypass surgery. And at the time, you figure that's 6 or whatever years, 7 years ago. Surgery wasn't as fluent as it is now. It wasn't as common as it is now. And it was still a very high risk. There's high risk associated with it today, but it was extremely high risk then. I remember leaving the doctor's office and taking all the brochures and the pamphlets, and I put them in my glove box, and I literally shut the glove box and I said, oh, I got 10 years to figure it out. 48 hours later, I got a call that one of my good friends collapsed at work and went into a diabetic coma. And when we showed up at the hospital, we found that because of his weight, they couldn't do the normal procedures that they would typically do. And the only thing that he really had was just to kind of wait it out, just wait. And the ratio for that was about 5% chance of surviving after that wait. It was very difficult to be there in a room with family members saying goodbye. Not very, very uncomfortable. I'm a friend. They have the floor first, but you're in that room and you just want to scream everything and all your emotions, but you're trying to be calm and cool and collective for them. So it's a very stressful situation. And I had a friend. I hope everybody in life has the opportunity to have a friend like this. But I had a good friend of mine, who's my best friend, lifelong mentor. Always took a bad situation and made it a great situation. You know, always looked at the glass half full, not half empty. And I remember calling him when I left the hospital, and I said, I had this huge emotional thing, friends in the hospital, less than 5% chance. I had to watch the family basically say goodbye. And he got me laughing by the time I hung up the phone. He had me laughing. And he told me, he says, look, you're going to be in the ICU. You're either going to be waiting there or you can come here and wait. I haven't seen you in a while. Why don't you come here and wait? Have a 2-month baby boy. You haven't met my baby boy yet. Just come out here, hang out, make sure your phone's on, and you'll be good. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come down this weekend and spend a weekend with my friend. The next morning, I found out he died of a heart attack. So it was back-to-back incidents that really made me sort of think about where I was.
So let's hold on. So you had a friend die, and then your other friend was taken to the hospital, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And then the other friend, what happened to that friend?
The one that's in the hospital?
Yeah.
Well, he was in the ICU for 7 months. And when he came out of the ICU, he did survive, but his life quality is less than desirable, not very mobile, a lot of muscle breakdowns, very depressed, and has even made a comment a few times that he sort of wished he died in there. So it's not the best outcome, even though it's a positive outcome that he's alive, yay, but quality of life.
And what was his size?
He was bigger than me, and at this time I was 398 pounds and 6'1". I would probably put him about 6'3", 6'4", and well over 400 pounds. It's hard to weigh yourself when you're that big because there's not many scales that can actually go that high. Usually you have to either get a specialty scale at home or you have to be at a hospital to be weighed.
Wow! So you had two friends back to back. And you're approaching 400 pounds.
I was. And you would think, Marilyn, that all those situations, like I would change on a dime that day, right? You would think that that would be the huge wake-up call. But it wasn't. And I don't know if it was because it was too much going on at the same time. That could be it. And just overwhelmed. But what it really sank into me is when I went to my friend's funeral. It was an open casket. And I went there. It was time for me to pay my respects. I literally saw myself in the casket. And I never had an out-of-body experience, ever. And I hope I never have one again. But I had one that day, and I remember it vividly. The hair was standing up, chills down your neck. It just freaked me out. I felt like I was in a different reality. I felt like I was on a TV show watching what was happening. And I turned away, and I rubbed my eyes, and I turned back, and I saw myself again. And that's when I just left. I just walked out. And it's the biggest regret I ever had. I was a pallbearer. I don't know whoever took my place to this day, but I just knew I had to get out of there. And that night I drove home, and I sat at the edge of my bed, and I had a mirror that I was looking into. And I thought about everything. I thought about being a child and growing up overweight and trying all the different diets and programs and even settling on the fact that I was just going to be overweight, to the doctor's visit, to my friend that's in the hospital, which at this point we're assuming is pretty much left for dead. And then my other friend, I'm just like, I couldn't have, at that point is when I realized all these sequence of events meant something. And it meant it was time for me to change. It's unfortunate to me that I had to have friends that kind of sacrificed themselves to waken me up. But I knew at that moment I didn't want to be the 400 or 500 pound guy that falls in love and has a kid, and that kid's going to grow up never knowing who their father is. Not because I was a bad father, not because I walked out or I cheated or anything like that. It was because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I died because of a heart attack or heart disease or any of the other chronic illnesses out there. So I made a commitment that night that it was about me now. It wasn't about anybody else. It was about me and where I was going to go in the future. And I decided at that moment that I was going to change my lifestyle. And I was going to change my relationship to the foods that I ate. And everything I ate was going to have a purpose behind it. I wasn't going to eat because I'm hungry. I was going to eat because I need nourishment. And I passed out in front of the mirror. I thought about this so much, I literally passed out. And the very next day, I woke up and I ran to Kohl's and I picked up a size XL t-shirt. And at the time, I was a 5X. And I picked up a size 38 pair of pants and I was a 56. And I put them on a hanger and I hung them up on the mirror. And I sat there at the edge of the bed, and that's when I made the commitment. I said, this is it. Today is the first day of your new life. You're never going to look back. You're going to do this. And I have this saying, Marilyn, and it was so true at that moment that I kind of live by now, is that when the fear of not doing something exceeds the fear of doing it, you have no choice but to get it done. And
Louis,
that's where I was in my life.
Can you, I know this is unorthodox, sort of, but maybe not. Could you stand up a minute? Just so everybody can see. Okay, turn around.
Do the 180.
All right. So for those of you that are listening, you may have just tuned in. Louis has been sharing his story with us, and he was about 400 pounds, 25 years old. And one day after, one friend ends up in the hospital and one friend ends up dead. And if I remember correctly, Louis, your friends were overweight as well, right?
Yes,
because that's
correct.
The people you were hanging around with. Like-minded people tend to hang out with like-minded people, and we can get into that too. But Louis took it upon himself. Nobody else could do that for him, and he lost, over 200 pounds and has kept it off. How long?
Wow. It took me 2 years to lose the weight, so that puts me about 27, and I'm 31 now. So good 3 years, right?
Okay.
3.
So
4.
4 years. So
Yeah.
he was just telling us how he went to Kohl's and he bought a size 38 pair of pants, and he was a 50 what?
I was a 56.
56. And you
Yeah.
bought a what size shirt?
I bought an XL shirt and I was a 5X.
And he was a
at the time.
5X. Okay,
Right.
so before we go forward, because we want to know it all. At least I want to know it all. You were hanging around with like-minded people, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Your friends were all overweight, and you sat around and did you just eat together? I mean, what did you do?
Well, at first I kind of made, I guess, a lot of my friends uncomfortable because we would go out and I wouldn't get the pizza and the cheesesteaks and all that bad food anymore. I was really being mindful in what I ate. In fact, for a little bit, I stopped going out until I could look at where I could eat and what I would order when I did go there.
Did you know what to do, or you just knew you had to do something?
I knew I had to do something. At the time, I was a Microsoft engineer, network engineer, so I kind of took what I've learned from being an engineer of reading and cross-examining and researching, and I kind of applied that to food and lifestyle, and realized that there's connections in the way that we feel and the people that we hang out, and all those emotions can affect the food choices. But you got to create that balance in life. You have to create the balance of your emotions, and your emotions can come from anything under the sun. It can come from your career, your relationships, the people you surround yourself with, your spirituality, and your activity that you put out there. versus the food that you put also in your mouth.
Let me just
Sure.
interrupt just a second, because this is a very sensitive topic. I mean, there are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people who feel as though they're not at their weight. You know, you could be 10 pounds overweight and feel like you're like 500 pounds overweight. So everything is relative, and it's all in how you see things. So we don't want to. This is for everybody. This is for somebody who doesn't have a pound to lose, but looks at themselves as being overweight. So it's all in how you look at it. And when you have been doing something for many, many years, and it's your mindset, and sometimes it's the only way you know how to do something. It is a big, huge challenge to figure out how you break that pattern, that habit. I mean, where do you go? I mean, who do you go to? And the other thing is, a lot of people have issues because they've tried so many things and it didn't work. When is it that you try something and you give yourself the credit for trying again, and not having the old tapes of, well, I've tried, it didn't work. What am I going to do now? Or, well, even with other people, when you've tried things, and people, sometimes have a tendency of saying, well, you've tried so many things already, it didn't work. And you have all these conversations going on. So I want everybody out there to know we're very sensitive to everybody's conversation. Everybody. I have had it. I mean, I was about to tell Amnon earlier. I remember when I was coming home from college, I can remember, the look. I would call it the look that my mother would give me when I'd come off the plane or out of the car because I put on a few extra pounds. She would give me the look. She wouldn't say anything, but that look was penetrating. So we all have something somewhere, and that's what's so interesting and exciting about this show, because we have a success story to talk about. And it wasn't always easy. It's not, I mean, when you look at 200 pounds staring you, 250 pounds to lose, 400 pounds to lose, it's daunting. It's like the biggest challenge. It's daunting. So this is extraordinary, this story, and I'm delighted once again to have Louis here to share it. So go more, Laura. I'm going to shut up and you continue.
Well, you bring up some really good points, and I like to touch on that just briefly. It is a challenge, and whether it's 10 pounds or 200 pounds or 300 pounds, it's very difficult in this day and age when you have so much against you to actually buckle down and do it. Restaurants aren't designed to really be healthy. There are a few exceptions, but most of the time the food is just not healthy choices. They're made to more attract you and to salivate over and for you to come back. From drinking options to commercials on TV to everything. Now, it seems like the whole society is against this. And then when you go to your friends and you go to your family, sometimes they're the hardest people. I remember when I started to lose weight, friends and family members would pick on me. They would torment me with food, saying, well, what do you mean? Oh, you did so well. You could have this, or, oh, come on, it's your favorite. I made it for you. What do you mean you're not going to eat it? They're unsupportive in that level. And then when you start losing the weight, what's wrong? You look sick. Are you feeling well? You don't look like you. So it is very difficult sometimes to go through that. And I find it's very important to find a support. If you're going to go ahead and go through the journey of losing weight, is to find that support. Somebody that you can trust, that's going to give you honest feedback, and is going to be there for the good days and, more importantly, the bad days. And that's very, very, very important in anybody in their weight loss journey. You need good quality support in your life.
Well, even though I would say, Louis, we look at ourselves and we see ourselves a certain way, and it's hard for us to break that paradigm of wherever we are. It's also difficult for other people who know us a certain way to see us changing, whether it's a partner, people get comfortable with people, and they don't want to necessarily, even though part of them says, yeah, this is great for them, the other part is like, oh my God, they're going to leave me, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. A lot of people have all kinds of conversations going on. We have some comments on the chat. We have a phone call too, so let's take the call and then we'll look at the chat. Okay, and let me just tell everybody out there, if you call or you want to call and you don't get through right away, try again, or if you have to wait, just wait. Be patient. We'll get to everybody. Hello.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you?
Hey, Carrie. How are you? Hey, how are you?
I'm awesome. I have to take the opportunity to say once again a fabulous show
Thank you.
and a great topic. Relate to it very well. I'm very proud of the individual that you have on the show. His success is amazing. I commend him. And a lot of people have a weight issue due to also Janet's in the room from Sweden. And medication sometimes can involve weight gain. But what he did on his own versus what I have done and many other people have done in the world, I commend him even more. And I had to call in because especially put a little tear in my eye to see how he's done the journey, looked at his children, continued in order to want to do it for that. And that alone is why I had to make a sacrifice to do what I did. My daughter was crying. I had prednisone. I've gotten very heavy. I couldn't breathe. I had to make a decision, and I did. And that's what he did. A lot of it's for the children, but also for yourself. So I just wanted to say, I commend him, and another great show.
All right,
really,
hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Can you share a little bit about what you did?
Myself? Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, my birthday's tomorrow, November 12th, and November 16th, it'll be 9 years ago, I had gotten gastritis surgery. I'd been thin all my life, and then in 2000, I would say 1 through 3, my lung became a real issue, my asthma became a real issue, and I actually went on prednisone and steroids for 2 years and gained an excessive amount of weight. I locked in at a large amount of weight, and I kept on going repeatedly back and forth to the hospital with respiratory issues. I was in the tent. It was affecting my life, and the doctor said to me, we can keep you on this journey, and I don't know how long that the heart or whatever is going to happen, because I couldn't even eat. I was gaining weight. I had the prednisone face. I mean, it was not the person I was. I wasn't productive at all. I was depressed. I didn't affiliate myself around other heavier people. It just was a medical issue for me. I'd been thin my whole life. I felt like I was trapped inside my body. When I decided to do what I did, I looked over and I was in an oxygen tank. I'll never forget. I had to say it probably was in August of that year that I got it. I was in an oxygen tank with the breathing tube on, and I looked over. My daughter Stephanie was crying and talking to the doctor. And God, in the ways of the guardians, they put on the television about the gastric bypass, and it was in the same hospital I was in that they do the procedure. And then when I had called the nurse to say another sign, I was in that day, after I saw that next day, the doctor who did it, Dr. Bertha, God bless him, from Morristown Hospital in New Jersey, that proceeds and does this and makes miracles happen every day. He actually was in a patient's room, 2 doors. I saw him walk by. I asked the nurse to grab him, and they said miraculously that it would take like about 2 years to get accepted to go on. I said, no. This will be a birthday present for myself. Oh, nobody's ever done that. Well, I had to go through all the neurological, the psychological, everything, test, all the tests, insurance bound. And I was in there on November 16th of 2003. I was on the table getting it done. I have lost and kept off the whole weight of it. And
how much was that?
Later,
Carrie, how much was that?
200.
200. I want to ask a question. Can I ask you a question? And Lewis at the same time. So,
Sure.
So, Carrie, you said that you were trapped inside of yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay. And because you had always been thin, and
Right.
here you are heavy, being the thin person inside of yourself. So I want to say something. I want to ask Lewis, were you trapped inside of you too, even though you'd always been heavy?
I think mentally, I always wanted to be the skinny person for many different reasons. Lack of sports I never got involved with because nobody ever picked me for their team. Even just going shopping and not feeling like I could go into a mall with my friends and go shopping for clothes. It was always felt on the outside. I think I was trapped inside, but it was more because I was disconnected from the rest of the world. I felt like I couldn't participate like they participated.
But do both of you think that there is always this person inside that is not the heavy person, is not the person who can't do something?
Yeah, I was never like that my whole life. I was a size, I would say the most I'd ever excelled to was a size 9 when I was young and even had children. I never really excelled to that point till I got so ill, prednisone, steroids every day, 1,000 shots of CCs, and, just being incapable of actually handling what was going on. I had been so used to just walking into a store and going into whatever I had to do and close the closet, and then the weight just escalated. And, and it does. It is a shocker. No longer can you be the same person. I found myself taking away. I had 5 children, 2 of mine, 3 Steph, and I was so active, proactive in all their sports, and I found myself staying away and sitting in the car because I didn't want people to see me because of what I've become. And I tried everything I tried Nutrisystem, everything I tried, and it was just not working. Mm-hmm. And I never roller coasted. I never was heavy. I was not familiar with what it was like. But I will tell you now that I was familiar with it, I will never go back into there again. I will never feel entrapment of my body. Not my spirituality. I've always had what I've had, but my body, I wasn't in control of it, and I will never let that happen again. And those that are listening and trying the way that your guest has done it, and I commend you because I don't know if I could have done that. I didn't take the easy route. My route is still happening where you can only eat a certain amount, you can only do a certain amount. I mean, and also people who have had my surgery have gotten obese again.
Right.
I have maintained. Right. I've so hard and so much
Carrie,
maintained.
So honey, so never forget. So I guess on some level you don't want to, and then we have another caller. So hold on.
No.
I know, but just hold on a second. So I think the idea for everybody is that as you're doing this is to, and when you've done this, and no matter how many times you've done it, is to align yourself with something to keep you there. I know for myself, I've lost weight recently, and one of the things that I don't ever want to feel is hot again. In the summertime, I would never wear shorts or dresses. I was always wearing heavy jeans, and I was always sweating. I hated that feeling. I mean, to hold on to something, it doesn't bring me down, it brings me up. Hold on to remind yourself of something that you can hold on to, so that something you want or something that you don't want, so that you never go back and that you always can go forward. And so, Carrie, I'm so glad you tuned in because you brought a different perspective.
Always.
Oh, yeah. And Carrie has a show on Sunday nights, everybody.
No,
so
it's okay.
Yeah, but just so you know.
I love Marilyn. I'm one of her biggest fans, but everything that Marilyn's about, and Marilyn's my life coach. So I wanted to say you also keep everybody grounded, my love.
Thank you.
And thank you, and I'm glad that I can call into the show, and I'll continue listening.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you, Carrie. Bye, honey. Thanks. Lewis, it's really, people come from different perspectives. Mm-hmm. What Carrie did was, something we all have to face it for our whole life. She has to watch what she eats because she had the surgery. You have to watch it because you can easily gain it back. I mean, I have to watch it every day. I'm tempted for things every day, and I have to watch it. We all have to pay homage to it, Lewis, I want more, but we have another caller. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well.
And who are you?
My name is Blake Smith.
Hey, Blake, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Lewis, I've actually been working with him. We're doing a little 8-week challenge with some friends of ours. And when we all sat down, they said, what's the goal going to be? Well, I said, well, number 1, I'm going to win. And number 2, I said, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 8 weeks. And, of course, all the friends they were all like, no, that's just way too much weight. It's not going to happen. Make a more realistic goal. Well, I've been working with Lewis, and he's a great friend of mine, and I've always been kind of the bigger guy. And
what's bigger? What's bigger?
I was 287 pounds.
That's big.
And so tomorrow is my final weigh-in, so I don't know what I'm at right now, but I do know on week 7 I had lost 31 pounds.
Fabulous. Well, we're doing the show on the not just the biggest losers, but the greatest losers.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to clap for you, Blake.
Well, thank you.
That's wonderful.
Well, the clap should go to Lewis because he's the one that's shown me some new fun ways to do things that I wouldn't do. And I've been watching Lewis here for the past couple of minutes as well. And it's not about eating because you want to eat; it's because you need to nourish your body. And I'm trying to do it. He's teaching me every day.
That's wonderful. So I want to ask you, if I can, first of all, Lewis can be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he very well might be. And he certainly is trustable, I guess. That's not a word, but I do make up my own words. He's trustable because he went through it. And it's always great to connect with somebody who's gone through something because they could, they know, they understand. However, what you're doing is extraordinary. And I take it you've been on other programs before.
I have. Just like your last caller, I did the Nutrisystem, and it just didn't work for me.
So, first of all, I want to ask you, what was it about what you're doing now that's working? Is it taking a different look, not making it so bad, making weight loss so bad?
Lewis preaches this every time we talk. It's the simple steps. It's not making huge life changes. It's hey, get out and walk for 30 minutes. Instead, stop eating after 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And, Lewis helps me with all that stuff. We sit down, and I know when we go out to lunch, I'm asking him questions all the time. He comes over to my house, and we go for walks. So by having someone there to hold me accountable or to give me guidance goes leaps and bounds into, being able to do this because I'm not doing it on my own. I'm doing it with someone who cares to see me succeed.
Right. So, I appreciate what Lewis was saying earlier about the fear. I think sometimes the fear is worse than the actual, not sometimes, and I don't think, I know this. Fear is worse than what we actually go through. The fear of doing something or the fear of the hardness of doing something is worse than the actual doing of it. So how has this changed your life? How has this impacted you?
Well, I think I'm a little happier now. Losing some weight can definitely make you feel better about yourself. My family can tell a difference. I'm helping them do some steps too. It's a lot of fun to talk about certain foods or doing certain activities that you weren't always doing. But I feel great, and I'm going to be working with Lewis in the long term, and hopefully not that I can lose 200 pounds, but hey, maybe I can lose 80 pounds total or something like that.
Mm. Well, you could do whatever you want to whatever you want to do. I believe, Blake, you can do it. What's been
he will too.
Yeah, what, Lewis?
I was going to say, and he will too. He's really, really one who buckled down and decided that he really needs to change his life, and he's the perfect person to work with, honestly.
So I want you, Blake, before you go, talk to the people who have been having trouble doing it.
Oh, if you've been having trouble, everyone has trouble. You can't let something that's hard get in the way of being happy. And there are going to be times where it is hard, and you want that food or you want those comforts of going back, but just being able to say no, it starts getting easier. And don't ever give up on yourself. We're all going to slip up. I know I have in my journey, and it's only been a 2-month-long journey. And I'm hoping to make this a lifetime journey. So it isn't about what I lost yesterday. It's about what am I going to do today to make me better in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and for I guess when you think about the day-to-day process of losing weight, or not even losing weight, but let's talk about it in a different way. Let's talk about it in being healthy. There's no time on it. So it's not like you could give yourself a challenge and say, a goal that I'm going to lose X amount of weight in a certain period of time. However, if you look at it like that in conjunction with, you'd go day by day. If I mess up this hour, I still have 23 more hours that I don't have to mess up. If I mess up today, there are 6 more days, 7 more days, another week to follow that I could pick it up. And, if you do, if you lose a pound and you gain an ounce, so what?
Right.
You know, you go and you lose another pound, another pound, another pound. You gain a half a pound. So what? At the end of a month, you've lost.
Right.
You haven't gained.
And with what Lewis has given me on this one, it isn't about losing the weight, because sometimes when you're on that scale every day, you can get discouraged. What he's actually given me is a separate program to where I'm doing certain things so I can look at it on a day-to-day basis and go, that day was a win. That day was a win.
Right.
3 days turn into a week turns into a month. So it's not about the weight, because if you do what you're supposed to do with this program that he has, the weight will come off. But it's also all the little wins you get in the process.
Right.
And what I have, I get to win 40, 45, 50 times a week with the things I get to do.
That's right. That's so interesting you said that, because I used to say, even to people, you know, and myself included, when you're losing weight or you're losing an inch or a dress size, it's not about I have to lose 40 pounds. It's about I've gone down a dress size. I've gone down another top size. I've lost 10 pounds. I've lost 5 pounds. I've gotten stronger. My legs are strong. Whatever it is, it's not I have to lose 40 pounds. It's what happens between now and that. All those pleasures that you get to experience. So,
Absolutely.
that's great. So, Blake, any final words for Lewis or our audience?
I just want to tell Lewis, thank you so much, man. You're a great friend, and I can never repay you with what you've given me.
Well, thank you, man. I really, really enjoy working with you, and you will hit every goal that you ever wanted. I just feel it, you know. You're an amazing person.
So thanks you,
Thanks, buddy.
Blake. Thanks so much for taking the time to call in.
Thank you, Marilyn.
My pleasure. So anybody else, if you have any questions or thoughts or difficulties in starting, this is a perfect time to call us at 919-518-9773, or certainly on Computers 2K Voice, or ask us a question on the chat, and Lewis is going to be happy, I'm sure, to answer them. Let's see. I'm going to read some of these, Lewis.
Sure.
CJ says, personally, I have to apologize as I've never been heavy. If anything, I have the opposite issue of not being able to hold weight. That said, I agree with what Lewis said to Blake in the fact that it's all little steps. They all make the difference, and that's how you get to your goal. Absolutely. And I would like to say, instead of little steps, we call them freedom steps. And every step you take is huge. Huge. And we call them, that's all part of being free. So, CJ, that's about freedom. Chris wants to ask you if, that she's done a lot of reading about the benefits of drinking 2 tablespoons or a tablespoon or 2 of apple cider vinegar for daily weight loss. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I do, and hopefully this answers Chris's question in a way that works. When you look at apple cider vinegar, ACV, there are a lot of health benefits of incorporating it into your lifestyle, but I practice on a philosophy of bio-individuality, meaning that my food can be your poison. So in essence, ACV could be really good for me, but it might not work for you. And it's really about discovering what works for you. So here's the thing. ACV is not toxic. It's not going to hurt or harm you. Try it and see if you see a positive effect in your life. Would you rather try it and know, or to sit there and guess and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work? I say get out there and try it. If it's not going to harm you and it can only help you, you sort of have nothing to lose. And if it doesn't work for you, a bottle of apple cider vinegar is less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I mean, you're not really losing anything here. So go out there and experiment and figure out what works for you in your body. And if it works, stick with it and incorporate that into your lifestyle.
I think that's perfect advice. So give us some ideas of what you do with the program that you have. What do you do? How do you share it? What is it? Talk to us about it.
My program is customized for each individual person. Again, it's the whole reason I feel, and this is just personal opinion, why a lot of the out-of-the-box diet programs don't work. They might work short-term, They don't work long term. And that's because they're made for certain individuals, and that individual just might not be you. That's why you start XYZ program. You might lose weight the first 30 days, first 60 days, maybe the first 6 months. But eventually, it just starts creeping up and starts adding up to you. So what we do when I work with a client is we sit down and really figures out what feeds them. We really want to know what it is and why they're making the choices, who's supporting them, what you've tried in the past, why do you feel like that didn't work, what barriers you have. Now, we all have barriers. What barriers do we have, and how are we going to accomplish those barriers? What kind of goals are we looking to set? And is it goals beyond weight? Is it, I just want to feel more comfortable as a human being, or I just want to have confidence? I want to shop at a normal store. I want to wake up and not have mucus when I wake up. What goals are you really trying to set out for yourself? So every program that I have, it's custom catered to that individual and the needs that they want. And we do that is by having a health consultation. It's about 50 minutes. That's how every one of my clients start. It's a 50-minute health consultation that's absolutely free, but it allows us to assess them where you want to be and if my program is going to actually work for you or not.
Mm-hmm. So Chris says sometimes people cannot lose weight due to various medical issues. When do you, Lewis, suggest a medical evaluation? Do you ever do that?
Yeah. First off, I'm not a doctor, so I would never replace your doctor, and I would never tell anybody to get off a certain medication, etc. What I would ask and recommend is that you have an open conversation with your doctor. If you feel that a prescription or a medication is prohibiting you from losing weight, and it might even be, you might be taking a medication for a health ailment that might go away if you did lose the weight, but you got to take the medication. I would just have an open conversation with your doctor and say, look, I really want to change my lifestyle. I want to make a commitment to myself, and I want to lose weight. And I have feelings that this prescription that I'm currently taking might be interfering with that. Can we talk about that? Are there other options? Are there other things that I can do? I would just have that open communication with your doctor when it comes to that.
So you, excuse me, so you work with each person individually. Can you work with people, do you only work with people face-to-face, or can you work with people that are at a distance or far distance?
I can work with anybody over the globe. Thanks to technologies like Skype and telephones, cell phones, I can work with anybody, anywhere. They just got to be ready to take the first step to a healthier lifestyle. When they're ready for that, I'm ready for them. That's part of being here and part of being accountable and part of being a coach. You're there every time they step, you step. It's a hand-holding, step-by-step relationship.
And the weight loss certainly is like that because it's an addiction. And it's nice to have somebody that when you're feeling like you want to pop, is there to help you, not pop or, look at things a little differently. So you take each client separately and it's like a lifestyle, and you decide, well, they love hamburgers. I mean, hamburgers is like their thing. So you find the balance in, do I understand this correctly? You would find the balance in what they should eat and eating hamburgers. Like maybe not take away hamburgers entirely, but a treat.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not a fan, and if Blake was still on the line, he would vouch for this. I'm not a fan of saying no. I'm a fan of saying yes, but yes to the right things. So if I'm working with somebody with hamburgers, or if they wake up every morning and want to eat 2 or 3 donuts, I would say, before you eat those 2 or 3 donuts, why don't you try adding in a banana first? Let's eat the banana and see how you feel. And if you still want the donut, then go for it. But it's trying to incorporate healthier changes before the unhealthier actions. And most of the time, and it's everybody's different, but that banana, maybe you don't eat 2 donuts now, maybe eat 1. But we just made a step in the right direction.
Sure. Yeah, I do know that. Do you have something?
I just want to ask, Louis, stop banging on your computer or on the desk because we can hear it.
Thank you. See, Amnon's there to help us all.
There you go.
There you go. So you, and I like that approach, because when people feel like they're going to be put into a box and like with restraints, they have a harder time looking forward to doing something. So for all of you out there that are looking for that moment of inspiration to get started, I would suggest, and Lewis could add something different or in addition to it, but you're not waiting for that moment of inspiration necessarily. It's taking that freedom step, this moment, maybe to eat a banana instead of those donuts. And then the next moment to do something different. When you have that urge to eat, do something in its place, take a walk, pick up a book, let that moment go by. Because that moment's going to go by, and when you've accomplished something, when you've eaten that banana instead of that donut, or you've had the urge to pick up a beer and picked up grape juice instead or something, you compliment yourself. That makes it easier to get to the next moment. To get to the next moment, you take it a moment at a time, a freedom step at a time. And you have somebody like a Lewis in your life, somebody positive who can be there for you along the way.
Man, you're absolutely right, because when I first started my journey, if I worked with somebody who told me, this is the way you got to eat, these are the meals you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and oh, by the way, you can't have that anymore, I would have failed. I totally would have failed. It wouldn't have worked for me. And I would have been still sitting here, maybe, I don't know, I only had 10 years. Maybe I wouldn't be sitting here, but I would not be where I am today. It's because taking small things and integrating positive, not negative, but positive into your life. There's a saying that to be healthy, you need to do healthy things. I believe healthy people do healthy things, and healthy doesn't have to be just food. It could be just mental mindset. If you have a healthy mental mindset and you love and appreciate yourself, you're going to want to put in your body good, healthy things. You're going to take care of you. Right. So you got to have that sort of level of commitment and be ready to break free. Have that freedom break that you talk about. You got to be ready to break free from that mundane life, ready to change it up.
Yes, and I believe I like what you're saying, and I want to focus on it because you can get healthy. People get healthy from all kinds of terrible things. Terrible things people get healthy from. So we all can get healthy. We all can get healthy.
It's about barriers. I talk to people about barriers all the time. And barriers is what stops us. And it's not about just being healthy. It stops us from asking for a promotion. It stops us from furthering relationships. And sometimes you need to have conversations with individuals that it's just so hard to have that conversation. So you just don't have it. You don't know what the outcomes are going to be. And to me, that's fear. And fear is a 4-letter word. And you got to overcome that. But here's the way I always explain it to people. You got to have a goal, a passion of what you want to do, a dream, if you will, and you got to make sure that dream's in front of you every single day. Now, what stops people from reaching that dream is they just don't know how to get there. And there is a very classic movie, over 75 years now, maybe 100, I don't know, it's an old movie, that has a movie poster, and it was the most intelligently designed movie poster ever that I've ever seen, because it explains fear, life, and journey so completely. And what it is the movie poster to The Wizard of Oz. It truly is. Because if you look back at that movie poster, Dorothy and Toto and the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion and all the characters are up on this hill. And they're standing up on the yellow brick road, and they're on a hill. And then in the distance, in the very far distance, is the Emerald City, all glistening and lit up, and all their answers, everything that they need is in that Emerald City, but it's a distance away. It is a huge distance away. And then what happens is that road on that hill, it goes down. And that path goes into forests and trees and lakes, and there's tons of adventure in there. There's witches, there's flying monkeys, there's all these crazy things. But here's the thing about Dorothy and everybody. They knew where they needed to be. And they just took one step after another, and didn't worry, didn't get caught up in the emotions of, well, what if and what happens and this. They just said, you know what, this is where we need to be, and we're just going to keep following this yellow brick road until we get there. And life is an adventure. So we're going to accept that, and we're going to keep moving forward. And I think people need that in their lives. Not only when it comes to losing weight, don't get scared and hung up on the what ifs, but also just in general. When it comes to every other aspect of your life, the idea is to be healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. That's a huge important thing.
Yeah, and I would say, and I love that picture because I was picturing the Emerald City. I love that whole analogy, that whole picture, and I would say that, when you think about the Wizard of Oz and, being chased by the Wicked Witch, we are being chased.
Yeah.
We are being chased, and the Emerald City is right in front of us, and we are being chased by the heart attacks, all these other things that can happen to us when we are not healthy. And like Lewis was saying earlier, that job, that relationship, that thing that is gnawing at you, that in many cases keeps us overeating, keeps us drinking, keeps us doing the unhealthy things, smoking cigarettes. There are ways of handling those things. And I take it, Lewis, that in your practice, those are some of the things that you tend to get into.
I do. My relationships with my clients go well beyond any sort of, I guess, healthcare profession, because we get really deep and emotional. And I'll give you one example of that, Marilyn. I was working with an individual that had a craving for sweets. Every night she craved sweets, cookies, cakes, and donuts, whatever. And we tried all different types of things to kind of combat that craving. And we end up I found out that her and her husband, they used to be in a really good relationship, a very close relationship. They used to date all the time, and their love was very spontaneous, and they used to do all these wild and crazy things. But as life got older and kids got involved, and they got pets and jobs and work and responsibility kicked in, they really didn't see each other anymore. Well, come to find out, her cravings for sweetness in treats ended up coming from being a lack of sweetness in life. And what it comes to is brain chemistry. We get the same satisfaction of having sweetness in our life as we do of consuming sweets. So there's no nutritional information that anybody could ever have to compete that if it's mentally. If it's working out the relationships with her husband is what's going to stop her from making the bad choices, well, then we need to work on that. And we did. We worked on that. Scheduled date nights, scheduled time that they can be alone, and scheduled time for her. Massages, towel rubs, dry brush scrubs, things that she could start appreciating herself and her life again. And sooner you know it, a month or two later, she wasn't craving no sweets anymore. So now we got healthiness on a mental side and emotional side, also created healthiness internally.
Great. That makes a lot of sense. And I know that a lot of people tend to also, sometimes we eat, we'll say that, okay, on every Sunday we'll have whatever we want. The problem with that can be, and moi knows this for a fact, is that all that you accomplish during the week can go down the tube on Sunday when you overeat too much. So you got to be careful of that. If you allow yourself certain splurges, is it taking over the entire week, even though it's only 1 hour? You have to be aware of that. And your exercise has to, you have to rise to the occasion of whatever you can do. If it's walking around the block once and that's as much as you can do, that's great. If it's taking the dog for a walk a couple of times a day to get started, that's great. Whatever you can do to get started, but be very, very careful about saying I can eat on one day, because you'll eat everything that you lost for the entire week and never get ahead. So be very careful with that.
Self-destruct.
What was that? I'm not in his jokes.
Self-destruct.
Lewis, so it's a full life, right? We have a full life to live.
That's true.
Everything, we don't live part of our life, we live all of our life. And everything we do is going to affect another part of our life. And that's where Lewis comes in. So could you share your website and how people would find you?
Absolutely. My website is simplestepsweightloss.com. So it's simple steps with an S, weightloss.com. And that's how you find me. On there has information about how I coach, the way my program is custom catered to you with the whole concept of bio-individuality. And you can also, right on the website, request a free health consultation to sit down for those 45, 50 minutes to see if you're ready to take that step with me. And we'll figure it out together.
Okay, that's very important. I want everybody to pay attention to that complimentary session, because that is huge. I guarantee you there's a lot to find in a few minutes. You know, I know this about my own practice. When I sit with someone and we go over something, the ahas come when you have a knowing, and when somebody helps you find the truth, it doesn't take that long. You know, there's a lot that can be connected with in a very short period of time. So, Louis, I appreciate that you offer that to people. Any final words of encouragement or advice to our listeners out there?
Yeah, I do. When you're looking at making a lifestyle change, realize that diets are temporary. For you to be successful, you have to make a commitment to your lifestyle. Realize that it's going to be like riding a roller coaster. And, you know, when you get into the roller coaster, you got that long time going up the clank. And it's clank, 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 clank. And that builds anxiety, and it builds questions, and it builds doubt, right? But soon as you get on top and you start to curve down and you go down the first free fall, there's this release of excitement, of some of your fears being vanished, and you start getting giddy. Now, through that process, there's going to be ups and downs, turns and twists, but at the end, ideally, it's going to be self-gratification. You're going to say, man, why haven't I ever done this sooner? So wrap your head around that when you're ready to make a lifestyle change, and find somebody that you can love and trust to share things with, whether it's myself as a health coach or somebody else in your life. Share, have commitment, and have them hold you accountable. It's very important.
That's great. And I just saw that somebody came on with the name of gluten-free, which I appreciate. Those are some of the things that you also find out when you take a look at your life. You take a look at the things that you've been doing, and it's amazing how simply not eating gluten can change your weight loss. Because when you are not supposed to eat gluten, a lot of times you retain fluid, you retain all kinds of stuff. I mean, I know when I used to eat gluten, I'd get up from the table and I always felt bloated, and I did not digest my food properly. So these are all the kinds of things that you learn as you engage in this. So do not run away from it. You might have a good excuse of overeating, and we know that, but there's a lot of things, like Louis said, that sometimes we're depriving ourselves of things that we look for in food, whether it's something sweet, whether it's something salty, whether it's a moment of the day that you don't realize. Every day at this time, I know every day at 3 o'clock I want to eat, because that was the time of day I came home from school, and my mother was there with something for us to eat. I know that. I'm conditioned. Habit tells me 3 o'clock I'm going to eat. So there are simple things that we don't always look at in ourselves, but when we do talk to somebody else who's had the same experience, we find that, oh my God, is that it? Is that why I'm doing something like this? Louis, stand up one more time. Turn around.
Do the twist again.
Do the twist.
Do the twist again.
So there's
right.
Louis, having lost 200 plus pounds, having left it off for 4 or 5 years, I guess. So
yeah.
That's fabulous. So everybody out there, this is the time that I have to say goodbye. Have a wonderful day. I want to thank you, Louis, from the bottom of my heart for sharing like you have, because you have a great story. You have an approachable story, and that's what makes it so great. It's that everybody can accomplish this, or anybody can accomplish it when they want to. Thank you very much for being here with us today. We'll be here next week. We'll have show notes on the Breaking Free page on Facebook. Please go like it. MarilynShannon.com. You'll find it there. Or Facebook, Marilyn Shannon. Anytime you have anything to ask me, say to me. You see my name above, just click, and you can get to me easily. And if you have any questions for me at all, ideas for shows, I'd love to hear it. Amnon, as always, thank you. Thank you. Louis, you're a doll. Thank you for doing the work you're doing and for putting yourself out there like you are. And everybody, have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.